We lionize geniuses in our culture. We revere the notion of a lone individual toiling deep into the night, determined to prove a chorus of critics and naysayers wrong. This image can be a useful wellspring of inspiration for those seeking to achieve big things. But it can also needlessly mythologize the very ordinary people who we want to emulate. The truth is that even high achievers are mortal, and they have the tricks and routines that we can draw upon to achieve big things ourselves. The common linkage among geniuses in widely different fields is that they can draw connections and see synergies that others miss. If creativity can be defined as the new fusion of two existing ideas, geniuses are those who are adept really at combining what other people have already done. A prominent example is Steve Jobs, who famously combined his passion for technology with the love of design and ultimately designed the new kind of consumer product that worked intuitively and was beautiful to look at the same time. This insight that consumers wanted products that they could enjoy using and looking at is part of what distinguished Jobs from the legion of other tech entrepreneurs out there today and in the past. It is unlikely he would have been able to draw this critical connection if it were not for the wide-ranging breadth of his interest, which extended far beyond the technology world. The key reason here is to roam widely beyond your comfort zone and the area of expertise. Even though a recreation of interest may seem a bit like a distraction from what you really intend to be working on, you may find that the practice of unplugging and learning about something new may well give you some very valuable insights into the personal area of interest or your primary area of interest. You must also be prepared to be bold and think outside the box, even if it means straying into some areas of thought that scare you a little bit or can ruffle feathers. We remember geniuses precisely because they were the iconoclasts and ran against the grain of what was considered to be the bounds of acceptable discourse in others' eyes. This can be a lonely place to find yourself in if you are met with the chorus of criticism for pushing and being innovative, a new way of looking at a situation. So be prepared. It simply comes with the territory if you are serious about thinking differently. Just remember that very few are thought of as geniuses in their own time while they're carrying out their work. They are far more likely to be regarded as fools or cranks. You will need to find yourself an inner reservoir of strength and confidence if you want to sustain your work without someone else having your back. After all, who do we think of throughout the history when we think of the word genius? We very likely will go back to a pool of individuals who are universally regarded as having expanded boundaries of human possibility. These names would include Einstein, Socrates, Copernicus, and others who are regarded as heretics in their own time. Many such figures were persecuted or even convicted to death or exile because of the dangerous power of their ideas. Keep this in mind. For an idea to be truly great, it is very likely has to have permanently altered the contours of the status quo. Many of us are just fine with the status quo and will do everything that they can do to resist the introduction of a new idea. In many workplaces, the easiest way to attain promotions and recognition is to continue along the same conventional path as everyone else. You must be prepared to stand up for your ideas and remove yourself emotionally from the inevitable conflict that will arise from presenting new and exciting ways of doing things in your workplace or community. Groupthink and decision-making by committee may be far safer and more inclusive, but it could not be further removed from the deep introspection and self-sufficiency that must be part of generating truly genius ideas. So what do you need to be doing to be operating on that genius level yourself? Well, to begin with, you must be willing to step back and take a longer view than many of our colleagues like to do. You'll need to relish in the prospect of investing some considerable time in mulling over ideas and problems from an expansive perspective. You must be vigilant against accepting ideas that are prepackaged or sanctioned by the media or widespread thought as being self-evidently sound. Become accustomed to examining each angle of an idea, the way that you would examine a new car. It's not enough to kick the tires or rely on the salesman's word. You need to go out and test drive it for yourself. You must be brave enough to articulate opinions that aren't popular or part of the mainstream. Generating these ideas will mean paying very special attention to your media consumption and intake of other ideas. It has become increasingly common for us to put a lot of time and care into our diets. As we scour the grocery aisles for organic materials and ingredients, resist anything that smacks of processed or chemicals. We should be practicing the same vigilance when it comes to what knowledge and ideas we put into our brains. It's no surprise that a steady habit or even addictions to television or mindless social media has a way of damaging the quality of your thoughts. Stereotypes and cliches that seep into your thinking are more often than not a byproduct of overconsumption of media or art. You should seek out quality journalism and art for your precious downtime, but also resist the temptation to always be cramming content into your brain. You need downtime and quiet time to think, reflect, and arrive at your own conclusions on what you think about in the world. This is critical thinking. This is critical to your future. Don't worry too much about being out of the loop or not knowing information if you don't follow the news with as much zeal as others. You may even find that you actually benefit from not knowing some of the things that are going on. It takes a level of ignorance and curiosity to generate new ways of looking at things. This is a supreme advantage that the amateur beginner has over the expert. The novice has not yet become entrenched in the fatalistic mode of thinking that dismisses new attempts to foolhardy or the impossible. Think of all the innovations that have become from amateurs or rookies seeking out new ideas. The Wright brothers seeking a way to fly, for example. Now, it is not a coincidence that such breakthroughs often come from figures with less experience or less to lose. Now, these may sound like lofty ambitions to aspire to, but we can all surely follow some of the same practices to introduce new ideas into our own business ventures or into our lives. Even if they don't quite shift the course of history in the same way as some of these other figures have, we can still stand all to benefit from questioning the established way of doing things and forever striving to better our organization and ourselves with new thinking. So to do that, be sure and visit my website, TonyNewmeyer.com, and register to receive free trainings, articles, and more. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook. And always, always live rich.